Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. AB here, along with Jack, and we are the Street Catchers. Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing real good. How about you?
Feeling good, feeling great, feeling very excited and very prepared to talk about The Batman. How good was this movie, Jack?
I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun. What were your initial thoughts?
Well, so if you listened to our podcast last week, we did a top 10 Batman movies of all time ranking. Check that out in the archives if you'd like to see our full list. But mine was at the very top, Batman was at the very top of my list after one viewing. I am now three viewings deep. I think it's not only my favorite Batman movie, I think it might be my favorite movie in general.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you fell in love with it as much as you thought you were going to. You were excited more than I've ever seen you about this movie, I think.
I would say that I wasn't as excited for it as I was, say, Infinity War or Endgame. I think those still top my anticipated movie feelings.
Yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home, I think, was just a notch bigger than this, but by the time we started getting down the stretch, oh
hmm
man, I couldn't wait. So I was very happy to see this and be glad that it was good.
For me, it was about all of the Batman movies that I crammed before our last episode to make a top 10 list. That's what really got me excited for this movie.
Is it so? Like for
Yeah.
me, I just remember that first teaser back in 2020 with the DC fandom where it was just like really short. You got him beating those goons. He said, "I'm vengeance." As soon as he said that, I was hooked. They had
Yeah.
Something in the Way by Nirvana playing in the background, and I just couldn't wait. And then as time went on, and they started talking about the movies that influenced it, that Matt Reeves took inspiration from, he said he watched Seven. He got inspiration from Chinatown, Taxi Driver, a lot of 70s detective
Hmm.
noir style movies. He said that he got inspiration from Nirvana. So it was like all
Wow.
these things that I love that just like kept pouring on to my excitement. And that teaser set me over the top. And then every time a trailer came out, I have been hyped for this for about a year and a half plus. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
excited to do this podcast. I'm excited to jump in. I think we talked about it. We're going to do 5 to 10 minutes of spoiler-free talk, and then we'll have an open spoiler chat as far as this goes. So, Jack, what do you want to amend your Batman list at all after seeing this?
You know what? Sure. Sure. And mostly just because I have it sitting right here. Let's see. So from top to bottom, I'll just go through like the top five because I am going to put it in my top five. I had number one, The Dark Knight, two, Under the Red Hood, three, Dark Knight Rises, four, The Long Halloween, and five, The Return of Joker. I'm going to put it in I'm going to put it in the number three spot, and then I'm going to push The Dark Knight Rises and Long Halloween down. So it'll be number one, The Dark Knight, two, Under the Red Hood, and then three, The Batman. And honestly, I was thinking about putting it in that number two spot, and I think that I think I just need more time to pass. I need to sit with it a little bit longer to do that. I've loved Under the Red Hood for 12 years, so but yeah, it was a fantastic movie. I was not bored. It was 3 hours. I was not bored at all. There was maybe a tiny lull in the middle, and I won't say when. I'll say when later, but I did feel a little bit of a lull, and then I was sucked right back in. And then I was checking the clock, is like, is it almost over? I can't tell if it has an hour left, if it has 5 minutes left. Just a good all around long noir. It was a lot of things, but it was really good. I enjoyed it.
It's a lot of movie. It really is. And the biggest two gripes that I've seen people have with it that didn't love it as much as I did are the length and the tone. Now, for
Mm-hmm.
me, the length wasn't an issue at all. I think that I will be honest. On the first viewing, in the first 20 minutes, my hype was so high. I was a little bit like, uh-oh, did I set myself up for disappointment here? But once the detective work they got going with that, I thought, okay, I am full invested, and there was no point at all where I was looking at my watch or
hmm
saying, all right, wrap this up. By the time they get to the third act, my jaw was down the whole time. I wish you could have seen me. I was so sucked into this. And I
Yeah.
think that people will spend 5 hours binging Netflix. I don't see why a 3 hour movie is that difficult to get into. But I will say that it's not something you could just throw on at any time. You would have to make time to see it.
Yeah,
But
it's not a
I didn't have a
casual
problem with it.
viewing experience. It just really isn't.
No, it's not meant for that. It's not for everybody. I have seen people say that they still
Hmm.
love The Dark Knight. They still love even Batman '89 more than it. To each their own. The
Sure.
tone for me, I had no issues with it. I've seen people say that it's humorless. I think that's silly. I don't. I think Marvel has conditioned us to think that our heroes have to have funny quips
Yes.
every five
Yeah.
minutes. They don't. You don't have to have that at all. And DC characters have that. We can get that from the Flash and the Green Lantern or Green Arrow. We don't need to get that from Batman. So I
Right.
had no issues. There were some funny moments here and there, but everything from the score, the cinematography, the performances, the story had me sucked in. I thought this was top to bottom a brilliant movie.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about the tone. I loved the tone. I thought the tone was great. I The score was good. I enjoyed the music a lot. The music had a really good way of kind of ebbing and flowing, and kind of like there would be not a whole lot of music during a really intense dialogue scene, and then they'd kind of roll into some music, and then like every time, any time that you were supposed to feel fear of the Batman, anytime someone was afraid of the Batman on camera, like it was, they had that piano sting that was really good. It reminded me of the Imperial March.
Yes.
It was very, very good. Like that was a good touch.
I honestly, they're two different scores, but I would honestly say I almost like this more than the Dark Knight trilogy score. I don't know
Okay.
why. I've had the album playing for the last week or two, almost on a loop, and I've listened to it at the gym. I'll play it while I'm cooking. I love it. I love Batman's theme, just how ominous, and it's
Yeah.
almost like a bit of a warning, sort of like the signal, right? It's not just a
Uh
call;
huh.
it's a warning. His theme, how they can do it both slow as he's walking out of the shadows, or high impact when he's fighting or in a car chase. I think his theme is great. Riddlers, which is a play off of Ave Maria, the song that plays at the very, very beginning. Just how
Hmm.
creepy and ominous and eerie it sounds. I think it's really good. And Catwoman's is really jazzy. And I think that the score was perfect for what they were going for. I love it. I've been listening to it nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah. This the Wow, this movie was a lot of fun, and something that I was worried going into it was about the tone. I was worried that a really psychotic, deranged Riddler wouldn't land. I was a little bit worried that Robert Pattinson wouldn't be taken seriously as a dark, gritty Batman, which I do not feel that way anymore. I think he did great. Um, I I think that I would have liked to have seen more Bruce Wayne, but I will say that it makes sense that we didn't see a whole lot of him. The movie takes place within a week. We're in year two of his Batman career. He just doesn't really care about Bruce Wayne, and that's part of
Right.
the plot. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I had again, I just speaks to how much I love the movie. I didn't have a problem with that. I like the telling of he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about Wayne Enterprises. He barely cares about Alfred. He literally just wants to be Batman and do Batman stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that where he starts versus where he finishes is perfect character development. And I think that in the sequel, we will see more Bruce Wayne. I think we will see him lean more into that billionaire playboy where he's going out and having fun, and maybe not the same as Christian Bale. It might not fit tonally with what Reeves is going for here, but
Hmm.
something along those lines. I think we will see more of a Bruce Wayne and a Batman in the future. But this, I think that it worked perfectly for where he's at now.
Yes, exactly. And well, yeah, I was going to say something spoilery.
That's
My
all
bad.
right.
Um, is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into spoilers?
Well, we can start doing spoilers. I definitely want to talk about Gordon. I definitely want to talk about Selena. I want to talk about Riddler, and we'll talk about future. So we might as well go ahead and issue the spoiler warning.
Okay.
Let's go full on spoilers, folks. If you haven't seen the movie, go check it out. If you can't tell, I recommend it highly, and come back to this point once you've seen the movie. So what's the first thing you want to talk about spoilery that you had on the tip of your tongue?
I think we dive into characters. Let's try to talk about characters individually, and then just roll into whatever.
Okay.
Let's talk about my favorite on-screen character, and that was Catwoman.
Yeah. All right. I like it. What do you got?
Man, she was so good. She was everything I didn't know I needed in a Catwoman, man. She was secretive, she was distrusting, she was uh man, she was beautiful, she
Oh,
was acrobatic, she was good in a fight, good in a pinch. She and Batman had a very romantic moment that I dug. I always love Selena for Bruce.
yeah.
She makes him happy and he makes
And
her
angry.
better. True, but I mean, hey, that's part of a relationship, man. And they're a good couple, crime
Yeah.
fighting, and Bruce and Selena too. So I
Absolutely.
enjoyed that.
She was for sure my favorite Selena Kyle, and seeing her growth. She hasn't really fully embraced the persona of Catwoman. Seems like
Yes.
nobody's said anything or confirmed anything, but there's rumors and speculation that we make it as Catwoman spinoff show, which would be fantastic. The way that they ended this, where she's going to Bloodhaven, would
Hmm.
imply that there's more for her to do. So if they can do a
It's the
Catwoman show,
it's the perfect opportunity, right? Because she's looking
yeah.
for a fresh start.
Absolutely. But she was the perfect femme fatale here. I mean, she wasn't just Bruce's love interest. She wasn't just there to be the pretty woman. She had her own thing going on. She was using him just as much as he was using her. She had her own motives for what she was trying to do, which was both get one over on Falcone and also find her friend Annika before we find out that she's dead. So I
Right.
thought that she was great as far as you took her seriously, but when you did get those on-screen chemistry moments, it was totally there and it worked and it landed so well. So Selena was definitely a high point for this movie for me. I thought that she was the best Catwoman that we've had in live action. No
I
disrespect to
agree.
Michelle Pfeiffer or Anne Hathaway, but to me, this was like I thought she would be the Selena Kyle. She has the look, she has the
Hmm.
mannerisms, she's got the attitude. Like you said, she had the ways where she was doing her own thing in her own way to use Batman the way that he's using her as well. They're similar journeys, but also conflicting at the same time. She made it the way she acted it out was perfect, and I couldn't say enough about it.
Yeah. Well, they did a good job in the writing, right? Like getting
Yes.
them to have the same goal with different motives, completely separate, but like organically working into each other's lives. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Her introduction was perfect, having her in the Iceberg Lounge 44 below. And the
Makes
way that
sense.
they focused on the boots made later situations like when they go to the funeral
They
for
focused on the
Mitchell,
what?
the boots, her boots as she's
Oh,
walking in.
yes. Yeah.
So when you get to the funeral and Falcone gets out of his limo and then that's followed by more boots, Bruce is like,
Hmm.
"Oh crap, is that Selena? What is she doing here?" Because he's already in
Yeah.
his mind thinks that she is with him in some capacity. So the fact
Hmm.
that the way that they zeroed in on that, I think, was a nice touch.
Yeah, it really was. There are a lot of good detective moments like that where you see what Bruce sees while he's seeing it. Like
Yes.
the part where he's examining the murder room at the very beginning, and he sees that blood splatter before the CSI does.
Yeah, yeah. He's looking at like a picture on the wall, and then like, oh, I should probably take a picture of this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really
I
like the way
I
that it was shot.
I thought that his contact lenses that records his nights, I think that's brilliant. I don't think I can't think of another time we've seen that in a Batman story, but that's totally genius. And the bit that he talked, well, first of all, let me back up and say the narration when it started, I thought it was clunky and I thought I was going to hate it. I totally changed my tune. I loved
Oh,
it. It was perfect. It was like I mean, you were inside the mind of Batman, right? Like it was,
Yeah.
you got all of the internal monologue panels. He's just reading it to you, and they did a fantastic job. But anyway, I said all that to say, he talks about how he is forcing himself to remember because I mean, he just lived all this. He did this night. He fought his crime, and then he has to sit on a bag of ice and watch it all over to see clues that he didn't see the first time. And it's astonishing.
Yeah, I agree. The contact lens was a great job. I don't think we definitely haven't seen that in live action, and I can't think of
Mm-hmm.
an animated movie where we've seen that. So that was a really, really great
I just
touch.
watched a lot of them, and they weren't in him.
Exactly. Yeah, I think one of the best thing about him, I think one of the best things about him in this movie was his relationship with Gordon. What did you think of Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon here?
It works. He was a really good Gordon, and yeah, what you said, his relationship with Batman was perfect. It's early in the Batman career, like I've already said, and Jim has clung to him. He trusts in him. He doesn't care. I got the vibe that he didn't care. That he did not care who Batman was. There's one part that he mentions,
Yeah.
like, I don't even know who you are, man. Like, it was kind of not a throwaway line. It's just to let us know that he doesn't know. But he'll go above and beyond to help Batman fight crime and get him the clues, the information, all of the stuff, and defends him and lets him free when he gets captured. And I
He'll
love
even
that
take a punch
relationship.
for him. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
this is a
think that
good Gordon's a good egg.
yeah, it's going to be really hard to top Gary Oldman's Jim Gordon. He was just too
Yeah.
perfect. But man, and it's such a different version of him because this is more of a cool, charismatic, easy talking style of Jim Gordon, where
Yes.
he still feels like Jim Gordon. It's not like it's not like the guy they got in the '90s movies who just they didn't really
Oh,
do
he was
anything
a
with him.
throwaway character. He was just a character to have a named Gordon. Like, he was nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. No disrespect to the actor, of course, but it was
Oh, for sure.
not what you want from Jim Gordon. So this
Yeah.
year they gave him so much screen time. He got to
Hmm.
really develop that relationship with Batman. And yeah, he takes the punch and he's trying to get up to the Raptors near the end. He's trying to help Batman every step of the way. And every scene that they have is perfect. The thumb drive and all that. And they just had that perfect 1-2 punch chemistry. I thought this was the best Jim Gordon, or not the best. No, maybe not the best Jim Gordon, but he has potential. He with better writing down the road, not better writing, more good writing and more
More
sequels.
consistent, great writing. Yeah.
Yeah, more consistent, great writing. I think that he could for sure be at least in the discussion for best Jim Gordon.
Yeah. I'm pretty attached to Gary Oldman. He's got that. I mean, he's got the look, man. He looks just like Gordon. He has that quiet intensity that I really like about Gordon. But yeah, this Jeffrey Wright, he was really good. He was really good. And I I didn't miss any past castings. I should say that, because like I said last time that Gary Oldman is as Gordon, Michael Caine as Alfred, like those are the perfect castings. You can't get better than that, and I still agree. I do still agree with that. But when I was watching this movie, I didn't miss them.
No.
Jeffrey Wright did a great job as Gordon, and I didn't miss Gary Oldman. And Andy Serkis did a great job as Alfred, and I didn't even think about Michael Caine. When he
Right.
was in scenes, so they did a great job. Good casting.
I agree. Yeah, Andy Serkis, a very different Alfred. They're going more for the special forces style Alfred that has been done in the comics. So maybe we'll see him fight at some point in one of these movies. Would have liked to see a little bit more of him. He was kind of just there to illustrate how little Batman or Bruce cares about being Bruce. But
Yeah.
that moment that they had where he learns about Falcone and Maroni and the truth, where Gordon's laid up in the hospital, that finally was sort of the um, I guess moment that helped Bruce come to terms with maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. So it really did work.
Yeah, well, he's Batman's only tie to Bruce Wayne anymore. If he weren't around, if it was just him in the empty Wayne Manor Batcave, like, he would just spend all his time in the cave and not keep up his appearances, and
Yeah.
Alfred keeps him tethered to the Wayne family name in a way that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Um, my big gripe does have to do with Alfred, and that is that we did not get a scene late in the movie with him. His
Yeah,
last scene was about halfway through the movie, where he's kind of where Bruce is confronting him about the Thomas Wayne
yeah.
footage that the Riddler showed on TV, and then he wasn't in the movie anymore, and that felt a little weird.
Yeah, I definitely would not have minded more Alfred. At least something near the end. They opted to go the Batman Selena Kyle route, but
Mm-hmm.
something to maybe just like a shoulder, a hand on the shoulder in the Batcave or something along those lines would have been nice. But it's a
During
again,
his like monologue at the end, just a
yeah,
silent scene of him. Yeah, I think so. Or just like while while they're having that moment with Selena on the bikes or whatever, they're tearing through the what was a cemetery I think they were at, and they're just going through that road. They could have cut away to him doing a little bit better in the hospital or something.
maybe
Him with opening a card or something, like I don't know. Him watching
it's
TV, him
also
watching the news. I don't know.
it was a 3 hour movie. I don't think that would have really added much to the story they were telling. I think that the bigger picture was that moment in the hospital bed. But
Yeah.
I am with you. He was a great Alfred. I could have seen more. I just don't know where they would have fit that in this long, already pretty long movie.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned a gripe. I do have one gripe. What just one
Okay.
small gripe. It's not that big of a deal. But so we talked about it. There's the scene where Batman punches Gordon, escapes the police, the GCPD, and then he does the jump off with the flight suit. I didn't love the flight suit scene that much. It looked a
Okay.
little awkward. It was a quick 2 second thing, so it's not that big of a deal. But then
Yeah.
Batman goes to the spot where they meet with the bat signal, and then
Yes.
Gordon shows up immediately after. So this is all within probably an hour after he escapes.
Yeah. Well,
And
they
Gordon, well,
cut the
hold on,
scenes, so it's impossible to know.
hold
Okay.
on. And so Gordon says, "We put out an APB. They're all looking for you." And then they never follow up with that again. The next time you see Batman with cops is they're
In
leaving
the precinct,
Falcone. Yeah, no,
right?
they're leaving. No, they're leaving the 44 Below Club, and there's just a grip of cops, and they all
Oh,
look at Batman, and there's nobody does anything.
all is
Just
forgiven, I guess.
yeah, he just punched
Wow,
the
I
lieutenant.
that is something I did not catch. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the
Hmm.
only thing. It's again long movie. Maybe they had something in there, and were like, this doesn't really do anything for the overall story, and they took it out. But I was like, he's with cops a lot after
Yeah.
this. I don't
Release
understand.
the Reeves cut.
Yes, I'm down. Well, he said that there are a lot of deleted scenes. That there's even
Cool.
one where he has a face to face with our Joker. So maybe we'll see
Oh,
that.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
maybe we'll see
Okay.
that. What? Let's talk about the Riddler. What do you make of
Okay.
the Riddler?
So,
Mm,
I I didn't love the Riddler, and I think that that's okay. I don't normally love the Riddler in most things. You know, he's fine. I mean, he's in this movie. I'm glad that they played him, you know, as a psycho, which is great. I love that he. I love the scene where you know they realize that he's been manipulating Batman this whole time. I love there was a shift in the Riddler where I thought that I was going to not like him at all, and that was when he was doing his weird. I don't even want to act him out. I'll be so embarrassed by me. Here I am. He goes, "Oh,
oh,
that was not supposed to go this way." Like he's
yeah,
basically breaking down,
yeah.
and I thought that that was a little weird, but I'll get over it. Like he's insane. I mean, he's coming unhinged. His plan's not going exactly the way that he was supposed to. I will say though, when he talks about his 7 bombs going off in the city, I was like, oh yeah, it is Riddler. He's got bombs.
Yes.
That was a very Riddler moment to threaten to blow up the city. Oh, the part where he's on the phone with I don't remember what his role was. The one that had to answer 3 riddles in 2 minutes, and he had the bomb on his face. I don't remember what his
Oh,
name
the DA.
was.
The DA.
The DA. Yes, yes, yes. I liked that scene a lot. I liked that he was eating up his time by throwing shade at him. I thought that was that, and the bombs. Those were the most authentic Riddler moments where I was like, "Yep, they did perfect. They did great." But the unmasked lines could have been a little better for me, and I did not need the scene at the end with him in Arkham with the Joker. I didn't need that.
This is where we're going to differ because I couldn't disagree more with everything you
Okay,
said. Well,
cool.
I definitely agree that I liked him with the bombs and all that. I
Hmm.
think that I would have liked to see more of him out of the mask because I liked that spot that you just mentioned where he's like, this isn't how it's supposed to. I
Hmm.
thought he acted that out great because he's supposed to be insane. He's supposed to be this crazy guy. And
Hmm.
the whole face to face that they have, I really wish that we could have seen more of Riddler unmasked because I think that he played that out really well. But the stuff in the mask, I like the way that I like his inflections. I like the anger in his voice. I like how you could tell that he's just not all quite there.
Yeah.
I love the riddles. Have you ever seen Seven?
No.
Oh man, so that's something you should go out of your way to see. I won't spoil it because it's really good, but this movie got a lot of
Brad Pitt, right?
inspiration. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Gwyneth
Okay.
Paltrow, and another big name actor that I won't say because it'll
Spoilers.
spoil it. It'll spoil it.
Okay.
So it's brilliant. It's only 2 hours, so it's really easy to watch. It might even be on HBO.
Okay.
But this movie took a lot of inspiration from that because the villain John Doe is a lot like this, where he's messing with the cops, he's leaving clues, he's got these workbooks in his apartment. Has even like he turns himself in the way the Riddler turns himself in almost. There's a lot of parallels with that. And then also, have you seen what was I just thinking of? Oh, Zodiac.
Oh no, I've not seen that.
Oh, another one you should go out of your way to watch. Robert Downey
Dang.
Jr.,
Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal. This got a lot of inspiration from that as well. So
Okay.
you could definitely, the way his outfit, the mask and the glasses on the outside, it's for sure taken right from Zodiac. And then the ciphers, how they have to, he has his own letters and the way that he writes out the words directly from Zodiac. So I love both of those movies. So maybe you have more of an appreciation for this Riddler after having watched those two movies.
Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I don't want to shit on him too hard. Like I didn't not enjoy it, but if I'm finding a weak point in this movie, I think that would be it for me. But like I do want to emphasize that it is okay that I didn't like that aspect of it because this
Sure.
movie had way more to offer. And we haven't even talked about Penguin yet, and he was great.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I do want to
You
touch on
know?
I do want to touch on the Joker scene. That
Yeah,
was
let's do it.
like that was their way, obviously, of giving us the Joker. I don't know if you know this, but they're doing a show on Arkham Asylum, and
No,
I think
I did not.
the idea of it is going to be that I'm assuming it hasn't been officially ordered, but Matt Reeves wants to do it. It's supposed to be like a horror style haunted house type of show where I'm assuming they're going to bring back Paul Dano and Barry Keoghan and have them in this show so that we can get a little bit more of a backstory on the Joker as well as keep using Paul Dano because I think he was great and I would love to see more of him.
Was that the Riddler?
Yes, Paul Dano.
Okay. Okay. I
And
don't
then
know all of the actors' names.
Barry Keoghan was the Joker. He was Druig in Eternals.
Druig. What was his power?
He had I think it was controlling minds.
Oh, that was him. Oh, okay.
Yep.
I did like like I said, I could have done without that scene. But um the way that they did that scene, I think was really smart because they didn't commit to anything. They showed him without showing him. They can kind
Mm-hmm.
of do they can do his face however they want to and it still function, it still works.
I agree.
So
I'm itching to see him and Pattinson face to face, something with
yeah.
that. I really want to see what they do. I don't know that I need a movie where the Joker is the main villain. I think
Hmm.
that we've done that enough, but he's the character that you can have in the movie, sort of like the Penguin here, where you can have him and he can be a vehicle to get you to
Hmm.
the end, but he doesn't have to be the primary antagonist.
Yes, I agree. And I think that um, that would be a good idea because this movie did a good job of um, this movie did a really good job of introducing characters that we already pretty much knew, and then they just kind of polished up the edges and kind of showed you what we're going to do with this character in this context, especially with Selena Kyle, because she is not always, as far as I know, she's not always Falcone's daughter, right?
I know that she definitely was in the Long Halloween.
That's the
Um,
only story that I can think of where they make a point to say it, though.
I don't know for sure. I feel like maybe they might have done it a couple of times, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't do that much of a looking into that. But I don't think that there's ever been a situation where they said her father was someone else.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
So much the way that they did that, and then they gave you the details that you needed, and you can kind of assume the rest. You could definitely do that with Joker, because there's
Oh
not
yeah.
a single person who's going to a Batman movie like, who's the Joker? It's like,
Exactly.
you know, or you don't know. You've seen him, and you can appreciate him for what he is. You know.
Exactly. Especially knowing that we have a Joker actual movie and they're
Yeah.
doing another one. We've had Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson and all those animated movies. He's been done to death. We
Yeah.
don't need to give a full dedication to him. And yeah, I think I agree. I like the way that Reeves is sort of taking this story, and we know the story of Batman. We didn't need to see his parents getting shot in Crime Alley. We didn't need to
Hmm.
see him train. We just jumped
Right.
right in. He's Batman. We already know he works with Gordon. We didn't need to see an introduction to the bat signal. It's all there. It's already ready to go. It's just all stuff that we know. And if you are not privy to that information, there are plenty of stories that you can go to learn that.
Right.
We didn't need it here. So I agree. I think that was perfect.
Yeah.
I will say another thing. It's not a gripe, but we just mentioned him, Falcone. I
Yes.
don't understand why they changed his name to Falcone from Falcone, but
You know, that's one that I've heard both. So I just say what I say, and I just hear, you know, whatever. It's the same thing with Raz or Ra's al Ghul. Like, I don't care. You know what? You can say it
right.
however you want. Falcone, whatever. To me, it's the same.
This is the only time I've ever heard it said as Falcone. I don't know if I've heard it that way any other way.
Um, I, if they do it a different time, I wouldn't be able to cite it, but I do know that in my head, when I was reading the graphic novels, I went with Falcone. It
Did you?
wasn't
Okay.
until I switched to Falcone in my head after I heard it a bunch and just thought it sounded, you know, better, more Italian, you
Yeah,
know, it makes sense.
for sure. I think because I know for sure in Batman Begins it was Falcone, and I know for sure in the Long Halloween they called him Falcone, but
Okay.
I don't think it mattered. I wonder if it was either one of it was too close to Maroni because I can get those two mixed up all the time.
True. And they're both in, I mean, they talk about them a lot. So
Exactly. The other thing
yeah,
was because of El Rata Alada, a rat with wings,
Falcon. Yeah.
Falcon. So it's closer to Falcon. Falcon has wings. So maybe that was why they did it. But it's not a big deal. It was just when they said it, I was like, Falcon? Is that
About what?
what do you say? Yeah. And then they kept saying it, and I was like, I guess his name is Falcone. All right, whatever.
All right. Falcon.
He
Sure.
was great though. John Turturro, man. Shout out to him. What
Yeah.
a great performance.
Really, really good. And you know what? I think this idea just popped in my head when you were talking about doing a Joker movie in this universe. I was wondering who else would they want to do? Well, they've still got Penguin. He could be, you know, spearheading this Falcone operation. I was thinking Black Mask. They could do a Black Mask movie. How cool would that be, right?
Oh, that would be sweet. Yeah, that's somebody. Well, they did do him. They did him in Birds of Prey, but he would work really well here.
A
I was gonna save
highbrow
this.
crime boss for Batman to have his sights on, and then, you know, villains escalate, and, you know, Black Mask isn't afraid to pay the Joker to do his bidding, and yeah, I think that would work as a story.
I agree. I was gonna save this topic for later, but let's just dive in right now. We know that Falcone is dead. We know that Riddler and Joker are in Arkham. We got a small tease. I don't know if it was an Easter egg or a tease to the future for Hush. I think Hush would work
Yeah,
really well here. And then we talked about it a few weeks ago. There are rumors that they would like to do Court of Owls and Mr. Freeze. I think that Court of Owls makes perfect sense in this
me too.
universe. So does Hush. I also know that we need a new DA. So Harvey could be waiting in the wings. I think he could work here. You don't think
That's what
so?
I want. No, that's
Okay.
exactly
Okay.
what I want. I would love to see the Harvey Dent story play out with this cast in this universe. But if
Mm.
they do have the Joker waiting in the wings too, I mean, you're just recreating the Dark Knight at that point. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I don't think that the Joker is going to be a big part of the sequel. I really don't. I think that
Hmm.
if anything, we'll probably see him in the Arkham show, and maybe we do a scene or two in the next movie, and maybe they do more of him in the third one, or maybe they also talked about wanting to do Robin. Maybe they kill Jason Todd and they do Red Hood. Maybe they set that up in the second one. I just don't see Joker being a big part of the next movie.
If they wanted to, I thought of this while I was watching the Batman. We had talked a little bit about how they would get to Jason Todd having no Robin in the first movie. I think that they could do a time skip, have Dick Grayson operating as Nightwing in Bloodhaven, and then have Jason Todd die early or already be dead for the second one.
I 100% agree, and I almost feel like the point of specifically mentioning Bloodhaven at the end there was to
Hmm.
set up that maybe Dick Grayson's already out there as Nightwing. Maybe they do that. Maybe they just have him as Nightwing. He was never Robin,
Hmm.
right? Maybe he's just Nightwing in Bloodhaven as we speak.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I hope this isn't too off topic. I thought that there was something with that little kid that he looked at I don't know if it was in the orphanage. I don't remember where it was, but he looked at a kid and he was reviewing his footage with a contact lens, and he spent a little bit extra time looking at this kid. And then I believe it's the same kid that he saves at the mayor's funeral. I could be
Yes.
wrong, but I think it's the same kid.
It is. He saves the same kid at the funeral, and he saves the same kid at the end from the water where the Gotham Square Garden is flooded. That's the same. He pulls because he reaches out for Bella Royale, and she's like
Hmm.
hesitates, and then the kid's like, "Screw
Yeah.
that!" And he walks up, and
Yeah.
Batman grabs the kid. That's the same kid. So I know where you're going with this. I've seen this. People theorize this that maybe he could be a Robin. I
You think?
would not. I don't know. It's tough because if for me, they have only done Dick Grayson once, and it wasn't very well. Although I don't mind Chris O'Donnell, but the writing was terrible. They haven't done
Agreed.
Jason Todd. They haven't done Tim Drake. They haven't done Damian. I would rather see actual Robins adapted. Now the only caveat here is maybe they do those guys in the DCEU and they pivot here and just make it
So
different.
so there's actually history for that for the DCEU. I mean, they've invited that. They had the Robin statue, right?
Yeah.
The assumed Jason Todd memorial, right?
Right.
So they could do a lot more with Robin in the DCEU quickly, but I don't know if they would do it good. You know what I mean?
Right. There's rumors that he's supposed to be in Batgirl. There's like a mural of Batman and Robin. There's rumors that they're trying to
Hmm.
look for a Nightwing. So we'll see. But I do
Okay.
think that there's something to this mayor's kid. I don't know if that's what
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe they were teasing that or if we're all just looking a little too much into it. But a lot of people have
Maybe.
thought that. And a lot of people have also thought about that first gang that he just absolutely destroys. The one kid that had that half a face paint. They put a
Yeah.
lot of emphasis on him, and fun fact, that's the same actor that plays Tim Drake in the live action Titans show.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That makes me feel away.
Well, that doesn't sound like a good
That's so
way.
weird. That's so weird. Huh. No,
Yeah.
I don't know why they would do that and for no reason other than it's an actor getting an acting gig, but
That's what
it
it is.
seems
That's
too
they're not saying
purposeful.
that they're not saying that that's Tim Drake. That's not what they're saying. It's a
Nah.
guy getting another gig. That's what it is. But
Okay.
it's
Okay.
curious that it's the same guy and he got time. I feel like that would be
Yeah.
more. He would more likely be a Jason Todd than a Tim Drake because he's up to no good, right? He's a bit misguided. So
Yeah.
I would say that it probably makes more sense that he'd be Jason Todd, but we'll
Hmm.
see. Maybe he is selected as a Robin down the road.
I would love to see a Robin. I would love to see, or if we don't see a Robin, I'd love to see, Batman making amends with his decision to not have a Robin anymore for a dark storyline that happens in between the first and second one. I think that would be super cool. They have a lot to work with. Source material is rich, so that makes me really excited about the future of this universe.
Me too. We just confirmed today that they have ordered the Penguin show for HBO Max. So let's talk about the Penguin. Speaking of the future.
You know what? Actually, can we pivot for just a second and talk about all these HBO Max shows? Because I feel like you mentioned two of them that I had never heard of, and I know of two of them that weren't those. So I know about the Penguin backstory one that they've been talking about. I also know about the GCPD one that they were talking about. Is that GCPD one the same as the Arkham one?
Yes. So it has evolved to become the new Arkham show. Yeah. So the only two shows that they are openly talking about are the Arkham show and the Penguin show that just got ordered.
You mentioned a different one earlier, though. I don't remember what it was.
I was just a lot of people are speculating that maybe we can get a Catwoman show.
Oh, right. You did say speculation. That's right.
Reeves has never said anything. Yeah, nobody said anything.
So, but there's just two in the talks, though. Yeah.
Two. Yep. Penguin.
Okay. I think more than that would be too much. I feel like if they try to book too much, they're gonna do way too much, and it's gonna be oversaturated. And yeah,
for sure. I don't think that they need to have 5 shows in between the movies like Marvel does. I think you can do these two, get to the second movie, and then do another 2 or 3, and then do the third movie. I do want to see them really flesh this out and give us spin-offs because I think there's a lot to do with this universe, and I think that Batman is the type of character that, God, you could do 9 movies. Just on his rogues alone, not to mention the Bat family, eventually doing a Batman Beyond. You could do a Nightwing movie. There is so much that you can do with that universe. So I really hope that they take their time with it. They don't do too much, but I hope that they do enough, that they do a lot.
I'm just so glad that it's so separate from all of the DCEU things that they've been doing, because I mean, we've talked about the DCEU. We're kind of in the same place about it. You're a little more keen on it than I am. I'm rooting for it, but I don't have a whole lot of hope for it. I don't feel that way about the Batman. I really do think that this is Batman's chance to turn things around for his on-screen stuff. His movies and TV shows, right? Because I mean, I think even Ben Affleck is lukewarm about his performance as the Batman.
See, and I really liked Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne. I think that he could have done with better writing. I think that I would have liked to see him get his own movie. Of course, this is what that was supposed to be, so I'm kind of glad he didn't also, because this is so good. I'm glad to see what we are getting. But, I'm cautiously optimistic about the DCEU. I'm not as keen on it as I am Marvel. I just don't know if I can really trust Warner, but I love DC so much. I am rooting for them and seeing what they do have coming up within the next year or so. It seems like they do have a lot of pretty interesting projects, but this is far and away the most exciting thing that they've done since the Dark Knight trilogy. So I couldn't say enough about the movie, but let's get to the Penguin. Let's talk about
the Penguin. Yes, the man.
What do you think?
I liked him a lot. I think that his Penguin voice was really good. His like, why am I the only one that knows the difference between Lionel? He's just so perfect. His voice was great. All the prosthetics worked. I mean, it didn't look phony. It looked he looked like a gross dude that you would not want to talk to in person.
But not Danny DeVito gross, where he's bleeding black and he's got flippers. This
flippers, man.
This was what Penguin should be in live action. Yes, and I'll be honest, I've never really been that big of a Penguin fan. I don't think he'd really crack my top 10 rogues for Batman, but Colin Farrell did it for me, man. I can't wait for his show. It sounds like it's going to be sort of in the vein of Scarface, where it's the rise of him as a mob boss. He's already got the Iceberg Lounge. He's got the umbrella. We'll see if they put a little gun on it. I hope that they do. And God dang, man, I thought, his New Jersey accent, you can't tell that man is Irish. He's perfect. The prosthetics are great. He was great. I loved it. Get
Yeah,
that
he did
man
really
a
good.
cigar and a top hat.
So I am optimistic about the Penguin series. I will say it's kind of the same thing they just did with Gotham. Like they really built Penguin up from nothing in that show to make him what he is now. And I'm sure they'll do a better a better job in this HBO series than Gotham. Gotham wasn't the best show, but it is still fresh in my mind, and I'm glad that they're going for a more gangster approach. You know, a more grounded, rooted, realistic approach to
Yeah.
Penguin. But I am a little worried because they just did it in a different show.
I don't think that's going to be a big deal, man. I think that's, I haven't seen Gotham. I've seen some clips here and there. It seems pretty low budget. This is going to be on HBO Max, probably a lot more promoted. People are going to have
Yeah.
more interest in it because of this movie. I don't know how many people have actually watched that show. I know it has its fans. I'm sure its audience. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to speak down about it because I haven't seen it, but that would be like being saying that you can't do a Green Arrow movie because Green Arrow just had his show and for 2 or 3 or however many years ago it was. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that they should do that, by the way. But
Oh, I
I don't.
agree.
I love the Green Arrow. I don't think that it'd be that big of a deal.
I hope you're right. I hope it comes across good. I hope that it's they've said it's a limited series, right? Not just a regular series.
I don't know if I saw that or not. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay. I
I'm
think a
not sure.
limited series would probably be a little bit better of an idea. Just my own
Probably.
opinion.
I guess it depends. Yeah, I don't know that you need to have 6 seasons of the of the Penguin for this
Especially
universe.
since you have a finish line, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to move that finish line. It's like, oh well, he's got other stuff to do. This season's wrapped up, but he's got another. Yeah, it's just like let's catch up here.
I would imagine that it's a limited series. I don't know why that they would want to order a bunch for this. For
Yeah,
we're supposedly only getting 3 movies, so I don't know why they would what there really is to tell there for the Penguin.
for sure.
But I am excited for it. I like the way that this ended, where he's full on the guy. They talk about how nothing has really been fixed in Gotham. That there's going to be this all-out war to take over for Falcone. So I think that really is the perfect introduction for someone like the Penguin to take over, or someone like a Mister Freeze to join the fray, and maybe we see.
Yeah, that actually brings me to a point that I can't believe I haven't discussed with you yet. How do you feel about Batman not saving the day at with this one? I mean, the Riddler totally won. Like he did everything he set out to do. He manipulated Batman. He flooded the city. Like the only way that Batman saved the day is that he did put the Riddler away, but even though that was kind of sort of his plan,
Right.
and he saved some people at the end of the movie. You know what I mean? Like he literally saved some people's lives. He didn't like save the city. It's flooded. You know what I mean? Like he didn't save the day, and that was okay. That was it made for a good bittersweet ending.
It did, and I definitely did want to talk about this. So I'm glad you brought it up. I don't have a problem with him not saving the day,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak, because number one, yes, the Riddler is away. Although it is funny that they didn't, for the being the world's greatest detectives, they didn't really, they missed L and La, and
Mm-hmm.
the Riddler turned himself in. So they didn't exactly do the best detective work here, although it was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have had an issue with the third act I've seen, and I love the third act. And I love the third act because of the story that they were telling from the very beginning. Batman has the line where he says, "They think I'm in the shadows, but I'm in the shadows." He says that when that light goes in the sky, it's not a call, it's a warning. Fear is a tool. I'm vengeance. They make a point to say that throughout the movie. They're
Yeah.
painting Batman to be this, not evil, but morally ambiguous character. And there are so many parallels here between Batman and the Riddler, two masked guys, two guys going after corruption. That scene where they're face to face in Arkham, that's not necessarily a see-through window. That's almost like he's looking in the mirror, and that's sort of why he gets so upset, is because he's recognizing, oh my God, look at what I have done. I at the beginning, I haven't had an effect on the city. At the end, I have had an effect on the city, not the one I intended, right? He's beating the
Mm-hmm.
crap out of that Riddler follower. And then
Mm-hmm.
Gordon is like, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I'm vengeance." And that the look that Bruce gives him, you see it in his eyes of, "Oh my God, what have I done?" So
Yeah.
the real revelation here isn't we saved the day. Gotham's there's a lot of work to do. It's the growth of Batman from
Mm-hmm.
he's not he is not a symbol for fear and vengeance. He is now a symbol for hope.
Yeah.
He had the leap to that electrical wire, cuts it off, comes out, has the flare, escorts people out, carries that woman out, puts her on a stretcher. She grabs him by the arm. She's not afraid of him. She knows
In the
that he's
daylight.
in the
I think
daylight.
that's an
The sun's
important detail too.
he's looking up and the sun is in his eyes, and we can see that this man is he's the good guy. There's no
Yeah.
moral ambiguity here. This is a different guy. This is a symbol for hope, which is why to sort of echo what I said earlier. I think that we will see him lean more into Bruce Wayne in the next movie because he no
He'll
longer
have
is
to.
yeah he no
Mm-hmm.
longer is just dead set on being Batman. Now he realizes what he has to do, and I thought it was beautiful storytelling.
Yeah. Well, when the mayor-elect is talking to Bruce about, you really should be doing more for this city. I mean, that
Yeah.
it doesn't hit the ear right because he's Batman, right? But like, he can offer more to the city. He has
Yeah.
all this money. He has all this philanthropy, like this
Yeah.
room to be a philanthropist. Like, it's his if it's his duty to save Gotham, he has to do it on both fronts.
Absolutely. So literally everything that they did from the beginning of this movie was setting the stage for him to become the symbol of hope and to recognize that there's a lot that he can do here. Even the stuff with Gordon, he didn't, or not Gordon, Alfred. He didn't want anything to do with Alfred. He barely wanted to talk to
Mm-hmm.
him. And then they have that really touching moment in the hospital where he recognizes, he says that I never thought I'd feel fear like this again, where I'd lose somebody that I care about. And that was a big character moment for him to like,
Mm-hmm.
oh crap, I actually have a lot to lose here.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course recognizing at the end that he's not vengeance, he's not this evil person. He can do good, and I think that he'll also recognize that he can do good as Bruce Wayne and be philanthropic and
Philanthropic. Nice word.
set up charities and
Yeah.
you see him do stuff like that where he sets up foundations and boys homes. Maybe we'll see him fix up Wayne Manor so he can have a boys home again. Maybe this, if the Riddler showed him, oh man, maybe we can do more for orphans. I think that we'll see a more Bruce-esque Bruce next movie.
Yeah. I hope that we get a little bit of that smug Christian Bale flair with it too, because I do like that side of Bruce.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see him do it in his own way though. I don't want to see him just replicate
Yeah,
what
I guess you're
Bale did.
right. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but man, yeah, I think that it was great. I thought it was beautiful storytelling. Do you have a favorite moment of this movie?
Well, I do. I do have a favorite movie moment in this movie. I wanted to just.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
wanted to. I had a little rabbit hole. I wanted to take you down. It's
Take me.
something that I noticed on the second viewing. The reason I wanted to point out that he was helping this lady in the light at the end of the movie when she was on the stretcher and everything. So it is a little bit jarring to see Batman in the daylight, right? He operates at night, but in this movie, we see him close out each day at dawn, by the signal or wherever. I think it's by the signal every time. There might be one time it's not, but it's an interesting vibe, that scene, because it feels wrong to see him in the light, but also he has this feeling about him that like his job is done, like it's daylight, he gets to go home and sleep and recover and everything. But just like him kind of figuring out how to transition from Batman to Bruce Wayne, from dark to night, or from dark to light rather. I mean, that was the ending. That was him figuring out that he needed to be Hope and he was operating in the daytime. I don't know, just
Yeah.
a detail I wanted to throw around.
No, I like that because I agree. It is a little jarring when you see him in the light, but I think it was symbolic of this is the dawning of not just a new day for Gotham, but a new chapter for Batman. And if you remember early on in the movie, very early on in the movie, the first time that he goes out to the table with Alfred. Alfred's like, "There's fresh berries." He looks out the window and he's squinting because he's
I put
nocturnal now.
sunglasses on.
But
Literally.
here he's looking up in the sun and his eyes are wide open. There's no squinting.
Yeah.
So I think it's really well done.
Okay, my favorite scene. Okay, so my gut reaction is the scene where he finds out that the Riddler is threatening Bruce Wayne, and then he puts together that, oh crap, Alfred is in trouble. And
Yes.
he's making frantic phone calls to the house while he's, screaming, driving. And then he finally gets the maid. Dory. I don't know what her role was, but he gets her and says, oh, something's terrible is going to happen. Oh, well, it already did. And then you see the explosion scene like that. The way that they put that together, chef's kiss, man. That is great film.
I'm glad you said that because that's one of my favorite scenes as well. That was just because there's that moment where you're like, oh my God, it's already happened. Like I said, my jaw was down. I could not believe it. That's up there. I would be remiss if I did not talk about the car chase scene though.
We haven't even talked about the Batmobile. The Batmobile was so cool.
That was the best introduction of the Batmobile in any Batman movie, hands down. From Penguin, vengeance! You trying to take my money? And then he's not there. What's going on? And then, and you're like, did you see this in IMAX?
No, but I should. Oh, I'm gonna go see it in IMAX.
Dude, that is a different experience in IMAX. I mean, you feel like the car is in your ear. It just is. It went ham. And then, of course, the score is, oh, my God, Michael Giacchino with the best score ever. He's chasing through and he flies. I mean, that car chase scene was a big selling point of this movie in that second trailer because that trailer ends so beautifully where he flies through the fire and he runs Penguin off the road and he's upside down walking through the fire. That's one of the coolest shots ever. And so the way that they just, it doesn't miss in the movie, even though I'd seen that so many times, it still felt so epic just to see that happen in real time. That scene was the perfect car chase scene. And that Batmobile is, cool.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw it, he was walking towards it and I'm like, oh, is it going to zoom out and it's going to be the logo of the Batman or whatever? And then you just see like his leg there and then you just see like a, it's just so good, man. That scene was great.
It really was. I also really love Batman showing up to Gotham Square Garden where he just crashes through the glass. If you don't have Batman crashing through glass, you don't have a Batman movie. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Didn't he also have like explosives that went off and and then he crashes? That was cool, man.
So well done. I love his handmade gadgets and the way he fights and the whole scene where he's got the rifle and he's like hitting guys and pushing them forward. He turns around and looks. Oh my God, it was so good.
What was your I guess I already kind of gave away mine, but what was your favorite of his tech, his gadgets?
That's a good question. I mean, I said it wasn't the flight suit, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I don't know. I think that the scene where he shoots the thing through the guy's leg,
the cords with the little harpoon thing that he's got on his wrist.
I like the way that he just has those like retractable, and the scene where Penguin shows up for the first time and he's got his dukes up and he just kind of puts it back in place. I like the way that he has those kind of at the ready on his arms.
Yeah. I like the contacts. I think that was my favorite part of his tech. I really, really like those contact lenses.
That was cool. Yeah, you just really get the feeling that this is a very DIY Batman where he built that car, he built all these gadgets. He's got this like makeshift cave. It's not like a real cave. It's like this. Well, it's a cave, I guess, but it's like this underground under Wayne Tower. Did you know that they did a prequel novelization for this?
No, I had no idea.
They did. It's worth reading. It's actually pretty good. It only took me a couple hours to get through it, and they talk about him building the Batmobile and how he would street race throughout Gotham with it. And he finds the street racing crew. And yeah, it's actually really well done.
That's
a really cool story. and it gives you a little bit of context on Riddler, and that it tells you how he gets those cards that he leaves at the crime scenes. He
Mhm.
actually would go to garage sales and find old Riddle
Oh
Hallmark
my
cards.
God.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. I guess in my head he was hand making them, but now that I'm thinking about it, like those looked like a little
Old
more
50s.
to it
Yeah.
than that. Yeah, they were. They were old cards. That's what it was.
Yeah. If you can't tell, man, I adore this film. I really
It's really
do.
fun.
Let me ask you this. If you had 3 words to describe this movie, what would you say?
3 words to describe the Batman. Hmm. Fun, dark, and I don't know. I don't know. Do you have one prepared while I think?
I have my 3. I have dark, insidious, and masterpiece. This movie
Masterpiece.
is just a masterpiece. Even though I had like a little gripe here and there, this is a almost flawless movie in my opinion. I had no issues with it. I love the tone. I love the slow burn build. Even though it's a slower movie, there are still enough moments to keep you engaged and some action and really great dialogue and great character development, great character moments. Everybody has really great chemistry in this movie. The whole Catwoman Falcone story, Batman trying to figure out what's going on with the Riddler, his story with not Alfred, Gordon. I don't know why I keep getting those guys mixed up. This movie was just, it was almost perfect. I've seen it 3 times. I'm going to see it again this week and next week. I can't wait for it to come out on digital. I can't wait for the other movies to come out. I
Dude,
love this movie.
it's hitting HBO Max in April.
No way. Where'd you see
I think they
that?
said April 12th. I
Oh
don't
my
remember.
God. That would be
I
magical.
hope I'm not talking out of pocket. I'm
I
gonna look
really
this
hope
up
you're
right
not.
now, so I'm not talking out of pocket.
Yeah, because like Spider-Man still isn't out on digital. It's into this month, and that was middle of December.
Uh,
But yeah, it's just there's no such thing as a perfect
yeah,
movie.
the Batman will be available streaming on HBO Max not 45 days after its theatrical release. It's hitting HBO Max quick, which I'm really excited because I want my dad to see this movie so bad.
Oh man, shout out to Warner Brothers. And man, that's beautiful. I'm excited. Yeah, and this is even though it's going to be on HBO Max, this is something I will pay money to have in my actual personal collection. This movie was it's phenomenal, man. There's no other way to put it. I think I love it
It'll
more
be
than The Dark Knight. I think he's my favorite Batman. Zoe Kravitz is my favorite Catwoman. I love the Riddler. I'm excited for the future. This is amazing. It's
Will you
amazing.
buy a big a bundle or whatever, like a collector's edition tin for this, or if they do one for a Blu-ray?
I'll see. I don't have any physical movies. All my movies are on my Vudu. I have a digital library, so I want to have it in that. And if it comes with all the extras and all that, I don't really see any reason to have one DVD or one
Yeah,
Blu-ray a month with nothing else. That would be kind of silly. I
yeah.
also wouldn't have a means to watch it. I don't have a DVD or Blu-ray player or anything like that.
Wow, that's wild. You and I have different lives, man.
Yeah, yes, we do.
I'm so analog.
We do. We do.
Yeah.
One last tiny thing that I have. There's no post-credits scene, but there is a post-credits message. And all it is it says goodbye and then a really, really, really quick flash saying go to radaalada.com. And I don't know if you decoded it.
I did.
Okay, well, I'll read it. I have it here. It says, you think I'm finished, but perhaps you don't know the full truth. Every ending is a new beginning. Something is coming. So we don't know what is coming. I will say this, though. If you go to radalada.com and you go through the whole thing, there are several lines and they all have dates on them.
What?
And so the first date up at the top is the first issue of Detective Comics, Batman's introduction. They have Penguin's first introduction. They have Falcone's first introduction. They have this movie's release date. I think they have Catwoman's first introduction. I think they have Riddler. And then they also have something from 1974, and this was the story of Harvey Dent breaking out of Arkham Asylum.
No shit. Huh. I don't know. Okay, I'm confused because I also did this errata alata thing, and my experience is different.
Hmm.
So when I did it, I type in the URL, I get the question mark guy or whatever, and then I had to answer 3 riddles, and I answered my riddles, and then he you get a file on your computer, and you go look at that file, and it's password protected, and you enter the password, and I don't know how the hell you get the password. I googled it. Put the password in, you get a 30-second video that is the Riddler doctored footage from the Thomas Wayne for Mayor thing with all the the Martha stuff, the Martha and this Arkham stuff, and it does have the Hush. It does say Hush on the screen for So that's why I was thinking Hush might be the next story.
Yeah.
Because it was in the little file or whatever that they they made you do. But if you had a different thing, I'm starting to think I went to the wrong URL.
So that all that stuff was months ago. They had all that stuff. I never had accessed it, but I saw a video on YouTube where that stuff has been going on. One of the guys that I watch on YouTube, New Rock Stars, he has been deciphering these Riddler letters since December because they have been putting things out like that for
Huh.
months now, which I was
Okay.
completely unaware about. But it's weird because I went to Rada Alada and it took me right to this last Riddler cipher.
Hmm. I wonder why we got routed to different places. That's weird.
That is a weird one. I don't know, huh?
I don't know.
But we'll see. There's a lot to be excited about, and who knows what they're
For
going to
sure.
do. I don't think that they even know exactly what they want to do yet. But if we get Hush or Freeze or Court of Owls or Harvey Dent or a combination of all of that, man, sign me up. I have full trust and faith in Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson.
I love Mr. Freeze, but I feel like it would be weird in this universe. I think Court of Owls would be the way to go.
I I think you could do it. I don't think that it would be too weird. Obviously, like Nora is easy, right? She has a
Mm-hmm.
disease, she's gonna die. He cryogenically freezes her. And maybe he is experimenting on himself and something makes it so that he has a cold skin disease where he has to have a temperature controlled suit or environment or something along those lines to maintain his life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's too out of the realm of possibility. Now, the only thing is, how do you get a cold gun? That one would escape me for sure. I do think that it would be
Mm-hmm.
tough to do him. I would
Mm-hmm.
lean more towards Court of Owls and Hush for these next 2 movies. And maybe you just do Mr. Freeze in the DCEU. But I do think I do think that he deserves to be done properly.
I agree. I agree. I think DCU would be a good place to experiment with Mr. Freeze, for sure.
I do, yeah. Well, do you have any final thoughts on this movie, my friend?
I don't think so. I know as soon as we hit stop, I'm gonna think of something. But let's put this one to bed. This was a lot of fun.
This was. I think that this movie is going to be very important when it comes to superhero movies. A lot like The Dark Knight, people it will influence, I think, filmmakers and studios to sort of look at the genre and say that there's a lot more that you can do with it than just having, what Marvel does, frankly. And not that what Marvel
Yeah.
does is bad. It's great. We love it. But you could take these movies in different directions, much like the Dark Knight trilogy, much like Logan, much like this. And I think that this movie and the Dark Knight will be compared to each other for a long time, and it will be like Michael Jordan and LeBron James as far as which one's better.
I think it's a fair argument. I mean, it is very good. It had a lot to offer. I really just hope that Batman fans that weren't so excited about Robert Pattinson being Batman, that kind of blew off the trailers. I hope they see it because they will eat their words. This is a really good story, fantastic movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, and again, it's not for everybody. I think it's contingent on what type of movies you like. But if you like noir, if you like psychological crime thrillers, if you like Batman, this movie's for you, man.
Yeah.
It's one of a kind. So
Yeah, I think
with
people just
that,
need to stop expecting the best Batman and just appreciate that there is a new Batman. You know what I mean? Just
exactly.
dip your toes in the water. It's warm.
Exactly. I like it. Well, with that, folks, we will go ahead and sign off. Thank you for for sticking with us and listening to this podcast. If you made it all the way to the end, one of our longer ones, which I expected it to be.
Yep.
If as always, if you want to follow along with us, the links to our social media accounts are in the show notes. If you're on the YouTube, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe for more content. We really appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed this movie. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Until next time, folks, keep on keeping on.
My third word. I didn't give you my third word for it's vengeance. It has to be vengeance.
I love it. That's perfect.
All righty. We'll catch you later.